Yeah, I think difficulties, challenges with other people are a part of life. You know, they're a part of family life, friendships, and inevitably the workplace. We spend many, many hours of our lives in the workplace, and the chance of us all getting on and finding that there's no disagreements is very unlikely. And in fact, there's quite a lot of research to support that in organizations where there is healthy debate and disagreements and differences of opinion, where it's handled well and in a psychologically safe environment, those organizations get great innovation and growth. Where we're an individual and we find problems with communicating with our boss or with colleagues, my first suggestion always is to listen. And that doesn't always feel natural because quite often if there's conflict, we want to defend ourselves, which means we're talking or we're not doing, we're ignoring. So we generally fall into that sort of, we extricate ourselves from the situation, we don't want to engage, or we get quite combative with someone and we're quite resistant to them. But actually what we know from research around communication and particularly around listening is most of us just don't listen very well at all. Most human beings don't. And that's just it's not because we're bad. It's not because we're poorly intended and we're malicious or we want to hurt anyone. We just don't listen very well. We're not taught to listen very well. And I think one of our key strengths, it's almost like our ammunition, is our ability to actually just step back and listen to other people's perspective. And it might be possibly that we're contributing to this challenge. So, you know, inevitably when we are butting up against challenge or problems with other people, we have a contribution in that as well. So, you know, what might we learn? What might we do differently in that situation? I think the other thing as well is to be quite honest about it. And not all workplaces facilitate that. So if you do have a safe environment where you can ask those questions, and obviously that might be different for different people, but I think calling it out. So, you know, being able to say to someone, you know, I noticed that things have been a bit tricky between us lately, and I'm wondering what your thoughts are about that. And when we ask an open question like that, we're inviting their thoughts. We're saying that we've noticed that something isn't quite right. We're not laying blame. We're saying things are difficult between us or tricky between us or whatever language feels right. But we're not saying it's you or it's me. We're just saying, I notice. And I'd really like us to get to a better place. What are your thoughts on that? And then if we can just be quiet and listen to what their thoughts are on that and hold back from the desire, which we will inevitably have, to argue or to be defensive, and to simply just listen and to then thank the person for that as well, for sharing that with us, because they will inevitably have noticed that things are difficult too, or tricky or uncomfortable or downright horrible. They'll have noticed it. They're a human being, and they'll be trying to work out what should they do about it. Should they ignore it? Should they create an argument with you or do something official? They'll be worried about it too in some way or another. So simply by raising it, it gives us an opportunity to look at the elephant in the room and decide, what are we going to do about this? And more importantly, how do we want it to be? You know, how would we like it to be between us? And if you can also state that, you know, I'd love to be able to work with you where we both felt things were a bit easier, where we could communicate more easily between us, where we were able to share ideas and do that in a way that was right for both of us. What do you think we'd need to do to get to that? Or how does that sound to you? Those sorts of very open statements, and then questions of how and what do you think, they just enable somebody else to know, oh, there's the signal that somebody's interested. This person is interested in my opinion. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to come to a resolution, but it does guarantee that you'll both have an opportunity to be heard. And for many people, we just don't get the opportunity to be really, really heard. So that's a great first step.